Now, let's talk about property searching in Ireland. How to effectively search for properties. Now, I want us to first consider the fact that properties are usually rented out by a property manager or the owner of the house itself or the owner of the property. If you want to go for viewing of a property, you have to follow the instructions as directed on the advert. Some agents would actually give you an individual viewing time, like they would send you a date, or it could be included on the advert that the viewing day for this particular property is on so and so date. But to avoid so many people coming same at the same time, they might give people specific times to come in. So it's not just going to be only yourself that is invited, other people, and then they would be selecting the most suitable person to give it to at that, based on the fact, based on if you go with your documentations and if you go with any other thing and you're actually ready to take the property. So some agents might give you an individual viewing time to make sure, so you have to make sure that you arrive on time. And sometimes you might have to view a range of properties before you can actually make up your mind and then decide based on your budget. Now, I want to talk about the websites to use when you want to search for a property in Ireland. When you're looking for, maybe you're still back home in your country, you want to come in into Ireland to study as a nurse or as a doctor or HCA for international programs, PG, post or masters or PhD, or you have an employer and you're coming in, you want to start your work, or you're coming for a professional exam or professional adaptation program, and you are coming into the country. Now, if it's on a short term, like you want very short, there are sharing options on daft.ie. So the website I'm showing just includes, when you want to search, just type in www.daft.ie. So you just include that. And same as this rent.ie, there's gumtree.ie, and there is airbnb.ie, and there's my home as well for short term renting. Short term, some of this website also have long term options. But if you are looking at short term and you want to look at a range of options, maybe you want to share a room or you want to spend only 1 week in the house, and there are options that are, you want to look at options that are affordable for you, you will need to go on this website. And then the one thing I always recommend is that when you go on the website, create an account on those websites. First of all, create an account so that everything you do, if you make any payment, I mean, if you get a house eventually and you see and you want to do other thing, you want to save that, you want to track any payments, or you want daft or rent.ie to track any agent for you, or really show you their letting numbers or track some applications, then you will need to show an evidence that you have an account on their website. So you want to try daft.ie, you can try rent.ie, you can try gumtree.ie, airbnb.ie, and myhome.ie. So those are the links that I'm showing on your screen. If you are looking for a house to rent on a short-term basis, maybe 3 to 6 months, or even 2 months, or even 1 month, or sharing options, and you want to see a variety of options based on the area you want to go to, then you can visit those websites. On long-term rental now, you can also visit daft.ie. You would see rent in the menu. You would see share if you want to share the house, if you want to buy the house. They have all the options: rent.ie, property.ie, myhome.ie, because all the landlords or agents, they would have to list their properties out on those sites first. And it's more better, like if you have an account with the website, and go into the settings and go and create an alert for that house, for the type you are looking at, maybe 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom on an apartment or a house, for a vicinity specifically, or a range of areas within 5 to 20 kilometers of where you want to go to. So they can create an alert for you. And when any landlord posts anything in relation to that, or any letting agent, you get to see the email. They send an automatic email to you that, oh, this house has been created on this, and you get to be among, your goal is that you want to be among that the first 20 that would apply for that. Because if you don't create an alert and you want to just go randomly, before you know it, the statistics of viewing of that property would have been in hundreds, maybe 500 already viewed, 1,000 people already viewed. Out of those that viewed, some people would have applied for that. So you don't want to be left behind, you don't want to be late, and you want to be on top of things. That is why I would recommend that when you go on those websites, create an account with them, track what you need to do, and create an alert with your email so that they can send alerts to your email when specific houses or apartments that match your criteria have been uploaded. So you want to see that. So for shared rental as well, um, for shared, there's shared options on rent.ie, on daft.ie. There is on gumtree.ie. There's specifically for sharing, and roomstar.com, roomigo.io, and those, even Facebook Marketplace. They have shared options. I mean, people do that occasionally. They share options. I'm still going to talk about um maybe rent scams and how to look out for that as well. And so Facebook shared of, because some people get this house, they get houses or apartments in a rush, and they just want to share with someone so that they can slash the cost or the bills, and so that it wouldn't weigh too much on them, and they don't want to go online because maybe it's not officially allowed, permitted, if you know what I mean, and they just want one person in one of the rooms and to share with them. So they could list that on Facebook Marketplace. So that is another place that you want to consider if you're looking for shared rental. Fast, very, very fast option. Then there are tips to watch out for. Generally, if you've got pets, you want to be aware that not all landlords will permit them. I've mentioned this. Leasing agents, usually they are punctual. So when you want to attend a property viewing, make sure you arrive ahead of time. It's better than that you are waiting for the leasing agent than for the leasing agent to be waiting for you, because there are a lot of people and you don't want to leave a bad impression at the first instance. And when viewing properties, sometimes, if you might also need to discuss with the property manager what you are looking for, if they have more suitable properties available, so that, or if you want them to contact you when they have other ones come into the market, and you want to know ahead of time. So you can also have that discussion with them. It depends on the viewings, it depends on how close you can go to them, or if there are not many people at the viewings that are already arrived. Then, especially in university areas, properties can be difficult to actually find, because if universities are starting, or colleges or institutes, if they are starting, lots of students, international students especially, will be looking for accommodation. They would have already taken most of the accommodations. So you want to consider that factor when they are coming into the country. Is it around the start of a year, or is there a major institution around that place? Is there a hospital around that? Even the staff of this hospital might be looking for accommodation as well. So that might make things more challenging. You might want to go like another 5 or 2 kilometers away from that to get a place, um so that you can have other options as well. Then another thing, what to do exactly when you found a place that you want to live in, that a place you like, what to do exactly when you have found a place. Now, if you're looking in an area that has limited vacancies, you actually need to act very, very fast. You need to act fast. You need to show that you are ready, that you are prepared, you want to take up the place immediately. And what you need to do is, when you are at the viewing, if they invite, if you are in Ireland, for example, you need to clearly state your intentions of wanting to rent the property. You have to give them your prepared documents, like I've mentioned above. Make arrangement to pay the deposit immediately, and make sure you get a receipt for this. Now, if you are not in the country, you can do that via email. The message you're sending, you can include all those details, that you are ready to rent the property or to share the property as fast as you can, and you are ready with your deposit, and you are ready to send all required documents, including your references from previous landlords, by email. So that would make them to actually consider you, or it would increase your chances. It will increase your chances. Yeah. So you have to make sure that you prove that you are actually ready. Sometimes there could be very high demand. You could even go for a viewing and you already meet 50 people at the viewing center. So you want to narrow, you want yourself to be at the top of the list. That is where documentation comes in. That is when where payment comes in. That is where references come in. If you give the impression that, oh, you already have those things, and it would help them in their shortlisting of who actually gets the property, who actually gets the property. So if your documentation is suitable enough, then you might actually be the one that gets it. So if you have pets living with you, you need to make sure that the letting agent or the landlord has agreed to it, and has agreed to it, and it's actually included in documentation, so that it won't be an issue later on. Because some houses are actually inspected even after you've started living in the house. The letting agents might have designated times. It could be every 1 month, or every twice, or every 2 months, or even quarterly, for inspections in the house. They could have security cameras and they're watching who actually goes in and comes out of the house. So you want to make sure that you have everything ready, and you want to be ready in terms of your documentation, and you want to fulfill their policy as much as possible, and you don't want your lease to be cancelled for whatever reason. And another thing is, you should decide how long you actually want to rent the property for. You actually need to decide how long you want to stay at the property. Well, most landlords, most letting agents, they would require that, oh, the person has to be staying on a long stay, maybe 6 months, from anything from 6 months to 1 year. Some would specify on the advert that the lease stay of this property is 1 year. So if you're going to leave before it is 1 year, they wouldn't give it to you. If you give the impression that you will be leaving the house, or maybe you need to rent it for a short term, they wouldn't want that, because it's actually costly for them to go back online, to go and list the property online, to start making advertisements all over again, to start doing viewings all over again, to select the appropriate person. So, but definitely give them you can include that on your short message, that you are ready to stay in the house or in their property for a long term. And and yeah, so at least 1 year is okay. At least 1 year is okay, in case, because if you don't fulfill that side of it, of your lease, of the agreement, if you now decide to go beyond, before the lease, the agreement you signed is over, then you might be losing your deposit. You might be losing your deposit. You don't want to lose your deposit. And like I mentioned, homes are inspected. When homes are inspected, if there is a damage, if there is anything, part of the deposit will be used to cover that, and you wouldn't want to lose your deposit as well. So just be mindful of the agreement statements, and make sure that if you've got pets, it needs to be covered. Some agreement statements don't have sharing options. They will tell you on the agreement, you are not permitted to share this property, or to rent it out, or to let it out for whatever reason. You can't share it with any other person. So it might be monitored property. So you have to be careful as well. You have to be careful in that. So if you are buying a home, for example, maybe you have to consider that, or you want to rent it for at least 6 months, so that to give you the chance of actually seeing what is happening in that house first, and then before you can make a decision. Then you have to be aware of rental disputes. If there is issues with your landlord, maybe you can't solve at a local level, there's no letting agent that is acting as an intermediary, then that is where the Residential Tenancy Board, RTB, comes in. That is the link that I'm showing on your screen. You can visit their website to learn more about rental agreements and leases and issues with agreements. So Residential Tenancy Board, they can help to resolve disputes between landlords and tenants, and they also operate the National Tenancy Registration System. That is, if you rent a house today or a property, it's the responsibility of that landlord to register you as the tenant with the RTB, with the Tenancy Board. Oh, and the Tenancy Board is going to issue a letter that, oh, they can confirm that, oh, the person living in this property is so and so, is so and so. So they do the tenancy registration system, which a landlord will do on your behalf, or a letting agent. It's not going to be directly by yourself, and they help to resolve any disputes as well. So you will need to keep, when they send you a letter, the tenancy registration letter, there is a code in that the identifying number for the house that you will need to keep safe. That is, if you have an issue that you would ever have want the RTB to resolve for you. So you will need to keep that unique identifying number safe. Then, if you go on their website as well, it contains lots of useful information about your right as a tenant, about your responsibilities, about your obligations, about if you want to leave the house before your lease finishes, or if you have other conditions, maybe you can't pay, or maybe your the circumstances have changed and you want them to come in on your behalf, then you can always reach out to the Residency Tenancy Board. So that is what they are for. They help with issues in relation to housings and more. Then another thing you need to consider is the fact that in Ireland, rentals are commonly referred to as lettings. So maybe you go on a property management or on a property agent website and you just see lettings in one on the menu. So those could be the vacant the house adverts for houses, lettings. So if you see maybe rent, rent could also be as lettings. If you say share, that's sharing options. Sometimes lettings could be everything together. So property agents generally they call them letting agents, and if you go on the Residential Tenancy Board website, you can also read more about that. Then at the same time, be aware that there are rental scams, lots of online property scams, and especially they target people moving from overseas because they don't know their right from their left. And like from this information, you can actually know where to go to, how to visit the direct website, how to create an account on their website so that you wouldn't be searching for properties on other websites that are not even recognized. Even if they are recognized, could still be opportunities for scam. That is where you might need to look up environments or look up certain home addresses and see if there have been previous issues with that particular house. And if you have sent an email, maybe tenants um tenants that have to send money to the landlord, you need to make sure that you make contact with the landlord or collect keys to the property. Then viewing is also important. Maybe if you are in the country, get a chance to visit the house or get someone to visit the place on your behalf to contact them and actually make sure or confirm for you if you are not getting scammed or not. Scamming doesn't just happen online. Some also show people apartments. They take up the cash up front and then they are never seen or heard from again. Just make sure that you look them up when you make your research. The letting agents, you look up their number and see if there have been any scamming issue in relation to that same company before. So if you are booking a short-term accommodation online, check the reviews posted from previous guests. So that might also help you. Previous guests of the same house, you need to check the reviews. And another thing is make sure that you are aware of communications and if anyone is asking for money up front, and if that person is actually working for a legitimate rental agency and not just pretending to be one, just be careful of that. So before I continue, I know some people might be watching my videos for the very first time. I'm just listing my links. If you want to connect via the website, that is it, www.adebusolaowokole.com. If you want to connect via YouTube at Adebusola Owokole Consulting, Facebook is the same, Telegram is the same, Adebusola Owokole Consult, Instagram is the same. On TikTok, it doesn't have the ing. Just be mindful of that. Those are my official pages because I've seen people asking me, oh, I thought you are on this page, whereas I'm not on that page. Just be mindful of that as well. Then I'm going to talk about how to set up utilities in Ireland, how to do that correctly so that you can understand what exactly to do.